All right, everybody,
Okay.
welcome to another episode of Soft Elbows. I'm one of your hosts, Steve Yonda, and joining me, uh, having just raw dogged some, we'll say creatine. That's what it was. And guzzling it down with Gatorade, the mid the mid afternoon snack of champions. It's Abby Whitman. We are recording this show just one day after Abby's 30th birthday, and she's already showing signs of her age. As you guys can see, she's in a parked car and yet is buckled up in a seatbelt just in case. It gets dangerous after you turn 30, and you got to be safe at all times. Her body could break down at literally any moment. Abby, how you doing?
Hanging on by a thread, apparently.
We can tell. Thank you for upping the cool factor of this show by wearing sunglasses today.
You're very welcome. 30 is pretty cool.
That is not 30's reputation, but I'm glad that you're gonna make it cool. You're gonna do this for the rest of us.
Yep, I will.
All right, we got a lot to talk about today. For starters, our guest today will be Ethan Becker Menditto, who runs Built by Becker. They just had a ton of people lift at AO2, which we will also recap. We had some other lifters do very cool things, very good things at AO2. We're going to talk about that as well. We're also going to mention, I don't know, do we have any cool meets coming up in the next couple weeks? Abby, anything on the calendar that people might want to attend or know about that could be like, I don't know, pretty fucking awesome?
Yeah, unless you live under a rock, Wizzos is in 2
I
weeks.
hate. Nope. All right. We're going to stop that right now. We will not on this show be referring to the WSO championships, any of them, much less the DMV's WSO championships, as whatever disgraceful bastardization you just came up with. Yes.
I did not come up with that.
Well, you're owning it. You're owning it now. Yes, what Abby meant to say was that the DMV WSO championships are coming up September 19th, 20th, and 21st. I just added a day. It's actually just the 20th and the 21st, but we're going to be there on the 19th.
I was going to say, technically, it does start on the 19th for us since we have to set everything up for everybody.
And if it starts on the 19th for us, it starts on the 19th for all the rest of you. We will once again be at CrossFit Revamped. It was a phenomenal place to host that event last year. I have no doubt that it's going to be just as awesome this year. Abby, how you feeling about this meet?
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Honestly, I have the biggest FOMO that I'm not competing because, WSO last year is by far my favorite local meet that I've ever done. For so many reasons. The prize packs, the athlete bags, the production of it all. And I'm a little biased because I'm part of the production of it, but we run a really nice meet, and I think we've done a really great job this year of making it look like a more professional meet. And I think everyone is going to really enjoy the venue, the food, the stuff. It's going to be a really, really great weekend, and I'm really sad that I'm not competing.
We also had a ton of people on the wait list, and now everyone who was on the wait list, congratulations. Abby and I personally pulled a bunch of strings, and now you're not on the wait list anymore. You're welcome. You're all welcome.
All thanks to us.
That's
you're all
right.
Welcome.
Abby, what do you say? Just toss that old singlet on.
It's not old. There's nothing about me that's old, Steve.
Sure. The belt, the seat belt really says I am cool.
Young and hip. You know what? I as much fun as it would be, I can't because I'm already signed up to help out, and I'm helping load for a bunch of my teammates, and it's not in the cards this year. I already accepted when I had surgery that WSO just wasn't happening this year, and that's okay. I will still have FOMO the entire weekend, and I will continue to wait my turn until I get to go be on a comp platform again.
You aren't going to compete, but you are still going to participate in the parking lot rope pulling contest that Eva Katsaros is hosting. Isn't that right?
Yeah, we're gonna try to see if that straightens out the elbow the rest of the way.
Nothing is more recommended by doctors everywhere to rehabilitate a recently surgically repaired elbow than competing in a rope pulling contest against a semi-professional rope puller. Yes, that I'm sure will make your surgeon just delighted. Um,
He'll be so
so
proud of me.
so proud. We maybe we'll bring back the man on the street interviews. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll have better audio this time. Maybe they'll teach me how to do technology. I don't know. We're
In
2 weeks
your
out. It's too early to
defense,
say.
yeah, who's to say? But in your defense, Steve, the microphones just I don't think either of us have ever gotten them to actually work. So like, um, I don't know. I don't know if the audio is really an us problem or a microphone problem. So we'll see.
When
Who's
in
to say?
doubt, I always just assume it was a user error. You know. But
Well,
we'll have plenty to say about. In fact, our next show will be recapping how WSOs went. Spoiler alert: it went awesome. See, now you don't even have to go. You should go anyway. But just like it went great. Um, Speaking of WSOs, not ours, but another one occurred this past weekend. And wouldn't you know it, the DMV had a representative down there. Winter Montgomery competed in her first event as a representative of LSUS weightlifting because she's all grown up now and she's in college. And in her first meet as a collegiate athlete, she went 4 for 6 and made a comp PR total, which I don't know. I feel like that's a good way to start off your college career. Abby?
yeah, I'd say.
She also, on her third attempt for both snatch and clean and jerk, attempted PR attempts, and that didn't go her way. But she made all 4 of the rest of her lifts, and I have zero doubt that the next time we talk about her, it will be something along the lines of, "You won't believe it. Winter Montgomery snatched a PR and also clean and jerked a PR," and then you and I will both have to pretend like we were surprised that development took place.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised. Winter's awesome, and I'm really excited for her to see how she continues down her collegiate weightlifting career.
Do you want to practice your surprised look when I tell you that Winter snatched and or clean and jerked to PR? Go ahead. Wow. Oh boy. All right, we'll work on it. We'll work on it. It'll be at least like another couple months before she competes again. I think. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll get it down. Don't worry about it. All right.
Okay.
Shall we? We're going to talk to the Built by Becker guy here in a little bit. I think he probably prefers Ethan, but we'll ask him. We'll talk to him about. We'll talk to him about his folks who competed at AO2 in Fort Worth, and that's correct. I'm still not going to call it by its brand name. But there were some other folks in the DMV area who competed at that meet. A lot of them actually representing black and red barbell. They had a ton of folks down there. They had Lucy Wynn, who swept bronze in her first national meet in quite some time. Swept bronze and also qualified for AO finals. That's right. I'm still not calling it by its brand name. AO finals, as we will refer to it on this show, the big one in December in Daytona Beach.
The big one.
The big one. They also Adam Kosna, I believe, created new DMV records, as did John Gilliland. Both those folks train out of Black and Red. Adam is a monster of an athlete. I once watched him just casually strict press. Sorry, not strict press. Muscle snatched 100 kilos. Like it was, I don't know, like a 6 out of 10 challenge, which was fun and annoying all at the same time. For me, not for him. I'm sure it was great for him. And John Gillen also set some DMV records down there. I feel like every time he competes, he sets another DMV record because he's very good at this. And also, at what point do we just start calling him John Nichols? I assume that's.
You know, it's funny that you ask that because I only refer to him as Mr. Kelly's husband.
Mr. Kelly's husband. Well, we have
Technically, they're fiancés, but you know. Anyway.
You know what? We have a committee meeting coming up the night that this episode releases, and we'll ask Kelly.
Oh shit! Do we?
What we do? Yes, be there, please. And we will ask Kelly what she prefers her soon-to-be husband. How we should refer to her soon-to-be husband. We will not in any way give
New
John any
DMV
agency.
poll.
We will not give John any agency in this decision. We will make this
Nope,
decision
none.
for him, and I'm sure he's
Yep.
thrilled. Any other folks catch your eye? Oh, I'm sorry. One more person I wanted to give a shout out to, Lauren Gomezi, also representing Black and Red Barbell, had a very good meet down in Fort Worth. She went 4 for 6, and again took big. I think if I remember what she told me correctly, her third attempts at snatch and clean and jerk would have both been pretty significant PRs. Didn't quite get them, but again, 4 for 6 at a national meet's pretty good gig. Pretty good job. And I'm super pumped for Lauren. I fully anticipate that she will be on the AO final stage very soon. Very excited to see her continue to develop. Anybody else catch your eye down in Fort Worth other than the Built by Becker folks who we're going to talk about in a little bit?
You already shouted out Lucy, who I was going to shout out to. Admittedly, I was at a wedding all weekend, and maybe I was not exactly paying a ton of attention to what happened at AO2, other than the Built by Becker folks and the Black and Red folks that Steve has already mentioned. So, all of that to say, I have nothing further to add. Good job to everybody.
Is not paying attention code for not sober?
You know what it's code for.
The people don't want to be left guessing. All right.
I was turned off orange reins all day.
All right. I did want to get your thoughts, Abby, on something that I came across my radar just this past week, and maybe I have just been
I'm scared.
oblivious. I'm sorry.
I'm scared.
Oh, you don't need to be. The USAW and TYR, or TIR, depending on how you like to pronounce things.
Yeah.
They partnered up, I guess, for this year's Wadapalooza, which I thought occurred in January and also thought occurred on the East Coast, but I guess occurs in September, and will occur on the West Coast because the way they're doing it this year is USAW. So it used to be that Wadapalooza kind of like folded in a lifting event to their whole extravaganza because they've got a bunch of different.
Yeah, wasn't it? Isn't Wadapalooza in Miami? I thought that was a Miami thing.
Well, you and I both thought incorrectly, and maybe it used to be, but no longer is, because this year, at least this year, or at least in September of 2025, they are going to be hosting a Wadapalooza / USA weightlifting event in Huntington Beach, California, where, in addition to all of the CrossFit events that I presume they're going to have, they're also going to have a USAW sanctioned event. It's not going to be a meet per se. They're going to have 4 competition platforms, and the setup is going to be, and they're going to have USA certified national referees. But instead of like the traditional, like everybody gets 3 attempts at the snatch and 3 attempts at the clean and jerk, and your best made snatch and your best made clean and jerk makes your total. Instead, each athlete is going to have 30 minutes to complete their best snatch and their best clean and jerk. And you can, I guess, take as many cracks at it as you like. And your top successful makes for both will, I guess, they'll just add those numbers together, and that will be a total that you can use to qualify for AO finals or the Arnold, or I guess potentially next year's nationals. I didn't see any limitations on what it would allow you to do. So anyway, I say all that to say, what do you think about all that?
Oh, I you know what? You had me. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then when you said you could use that total to qualify for any event, you lost me. I think that piece is bullshit. Respectfully.
Well, but it's not really. It's not really good. I'm sorry.
But like, here's my thing. I love this from a stance of growing the sport. They're doing something cool. They're doing something new, young and hip. That's the theme today, young and hip. I think that's a really cool idea. I think it's, again, great to grow the sport. I think it's an interesting take on a weightlifting competition. I think it will be really cool that, I think I would be interested to see if like sessions move along faster, or like what the timing is, because sometimes like, dealing with 2-minute clocks and stuff like that can really slow things down, But I don't think it is fair to be able to use a total under different rules other than like your typical what is a good lift and whatnot to qualify for a national event. I don't agree with that one bit. You know, and for similar reasons of like, you know, the integrity of like, you know, you everyone else has 3 attempts, you know, at the way a local comp is run, and they're very specific about, you know, what the requirements are to be able to like just take attempt after attempt after attempt after attempt at a weight. Like, impressive if you can make, you know, a qualifying total after taking 1.5 million attempts on a comp platform. That's great, cool, but do I think that should qualify you to go lift at nationals? No, I don't.
Well, let me ask you
So yeah.
this.
Okay.
What do you think? Because the online qualifier has been around for some time now. That's not a new thing.
Yeah, and I
And
have opinions on that too.
I'm happy to hear that, because my next question was going to
Okay.
be, what do you think of the online qualifiers, and do you differentiate between, you know, the setup for an online qualifier and what it sounds like the setup for this Wadapalooza event is going to be?
Yeah, I think the online qualifiers are bullshit. I think they served their purpose when competitions weren't accessible, and I do think that they serve a purpose for a very, very, very small percentage of athletes. From a standpoint of accessibility, like I can imagine that maybe somebody who lives in Iowa, I don't know, maybe they don't have that many local competitions going on, and so, you know, that could serve their purpose for them. But I I once again call into question the integrity of, you know, how do you really monitor that the rules are actually being followed? And I don't like the idea of having various qualifiers with different rules, you know, all getting funneled to nationals. I mean, it's the same reason that, like, you know, wait, can I say that Safe Sport is auditing WSO?
Hey,
Can I say
everybody,
that?
just so you know, Safe Sport is going to audit the WSO championships. I don't know why that would impact anybody. Like, please don't
No, but
cheat
like, but
ever,
my
but
point
like
is,
specifically don't cheat now, because Safe
yeah,
Sport will be
no,
there and we'll be
but
watching.
but that's my point, is like, you know, the local meets are, you know, they get audited by USAW to make sure that rules are being
Right.
followed and that people aren't getting extra attempts. So like, you know, what is, like, if we're gonna do this event and give you unlimited attempts, then why wouldn't we just say, you know, fuck the rules and unlimited attempts at local meets too, you know?
Well,
And I
for,
think whatever.
first of all, Safe Sport is not there to monitor how many attempts people take. That's not why
Yeah,
Safe Sport's
but
there.
you're missing my point. Okay, bad example. You're missing the point. Okay,
I
the
understand
point
your point.
is,
I do understand your point.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to take the opposite side of the argument here. I think
Of course
that
you are.
I don't always disagree with you. I just happen to disagree with you on this time. I think that the Wadapalooza event and the online qualifiers serve a singular purpose, which promotes USAW, and that is it grows the sport. It makes the sport more accessible to people in the case of the online qualifier, potentially in areas where, like you said, they couldn't otherwise get to a meet or can't get to a meet at the time that works for them, because we're all adults, or most of us are adults. And, you know, we have busy schedules, and it's not as simple as, well, there's a meet next weekend. Well, what if I have to work or travel, or my family's got something? And like, you know, so the online qualifier doesn't bother me because it just makes it more accessible. And I don't think that the rules are, I understand what you're saying in terms of like the process of a traditional meet. Like, obviously you can't recreate that for an online qualifier, but the videos that you are required to send are very specific in terms of what the requirements are, what the video, you know, what it has to show. And you've got to show, you know, you weighing in and the weights that you're using. And you also, you know, have to show the videos of your lifts. Now, you can take 4, 5, 18 attempts, sure, but at the end of the day, you have to make one of them, and that video is going to be, you know, viewed and analyzed and judged by people who are not inclined or not incentivized to give it to you just because you thought it was a good lift. Like, you're still going to have to pass the standards of a good lift. And my understanding is that the same will be true for this Wodapalooza event where, I mean, in 30 minutes, you could, heave it up there, I don't know, 6, 7, however many times. But at the end of the day, like you still, and I think, USAW has made it clear, at least in what I've seen so far, that they're going to have national level referees there and judging the lifts. So whichever one your best made snatch, your best made clean jerk is still going to have to pass the judgment of USAW sanctioned, or sorry, USAW certified referees. And, it's not, you're not doing it in the traditional way, but I don't know that they're getting by. I don't view this as them like sliding by rules that the rest of us have to abide by.
I agree with your point about the refs. Like I that piece doesn't bother me. And also, just a sidebar, if you saw me like look a different direction, it was because a man just drove by in front of me with a gigantic cage in the back of his truck with a big goose in it. It's always sunny in PG County. But I do think that when you have a situation where you're getting essentially unlimited attempts, like, at some point you run out of time, but like with the online qualifiers, like you can sit there and just take crack after crack after crack after these weights, and like, okay, great, you qualify for nationals, but like, again, I think it ruins the competitive spirit of being able to qualify for something at a competition, like to show up on game day, to qualify for the next level event, as opposed to just having a training day where you like decided you're going to max out and film it and whatever, follow all the protocol, and just go and go and go and go and go until you get the outcome you want. Like I just don't think that that's how things should be done. And that's just my opinion. Like, again, if it grows the sport, that's great, but I wouldn't be part of something like that.
Cool. I think to your point about like, you don't have to follow, again, the traditional processes, the traditional cadence of a USAW sanctioned local meet. What I don't know, take solace in. That seems like this is a way more serious matter than it is. But like what I have faith in is that, like, at the end of the day, if you qualified for a national event, nationals, AO finals, whatever, and it took you 8 attempts to make that one snatch, like, you will have made it under the rules that are available to you, but you're still going to have to go to nationals. You're still going to have to go to AO finals or whatever event you've qualified for. And at that stage, at that point, you will have to abide by all of the normal processes and cadence and whatever. And so, I think it catches up to you one way or another, right? Like, you won't be able to do that there. And so if your only practice, if your only meet experience is not in front of judges and not having to, be super strict on, 2 hours in between weigh-ins and the start of your session. And if in your online qualifier or however they're doing this Wodapalooza event, if you don't have to sit in the back with other people and wait your turn and have to deal with, people bumping up and now you're having to lift sooner than you thought or later than you thought, like, that's preparation and experience that you're not getting. You're going to pay the price for that at that bigger event. If that's the risk you want to run, or if you're confident in your abilities and your coach's abilities, because they're going to be affected by that too, to withstand that and make it a non-issue, then cool. I think the more people, I'm a believer that, like, if you're capable of it, then like, let's have you show up to the bigger event and see what you got. Like, I don't think it serves the sport to keep somebody who is capable of performing on that level away just because they didn't abide by some purist ideology the way that we would like them to, or the way that it has always been done. It'll catch up to you eventually, or it won't. Maybe you're just really talented and it won't affect you. But I just don't worry about how you got there, because at some point you're gonna have to show up and do it the way the rest of us have to do it. And that's when we'll find out.
All right. Well, agree to disagree, but our guest is here. So
our guest is here. All right. Yeah, let's do it.
Hey. How's it going, guys?
the man of the hour, Ethan
Haven't been
Becker
called that too
Menditto.
often.
What's that?
I said I haven't been called that too often.
First time for everything. This is Abby's first podcast as a member of the 30 or older club. And
Oh, there you go.
Jesus.
It's a first for everything today.
Oh, yeah.
Ethan, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you both?
We're doing all right. We were just agreeing to disagree on a topic that for sure only Abby and I care enough to talk about on a podcast. And so she was delighted that you showed up when you did. For anyone who doesn't know, Ethan Becker Menditto, obviously he is our guest today. He's the person, I always mess this up. He's to my left, I think, or my right. I don't know. He's the person who's not Abby next in the screen next to me. That's who he is. He runs Built by Becker weightlifting club. You guys are based out of Herndon CrossFit. Is that correct?
Correct. So we run most of our classes like in-person stuff through Herndon. We do have a remote branch as well.
Awesome. And you guys just had a fantastic showing out at AO2 in Fort Worth. You had 6 people down there? Is that right?
We did. Yep.
And I want to talk about all the folks that you had that competed down there because a bunch of people did some really cool stuff. But I got to know because we talked about it, or I think Abby and I were just discussing it ourselves. I don't remember if we talked about this on the previous episode, but the belt buckles. You had two people who went 6 for 6,
Yes.
and Daphne Gerald and Mike Alkus. And so you got to see up close and personal these belt buckles.
Yeah.
What did you think, and how do they compare to the cowboy hat? This is the most important question we're going to ask you.
I mean, mixed bag. I personally like the cowboy hat better. I'm not a belt buckle person.
My God.
Obviously, being a fitness professional, I wear gym shorts and pants. So, I mean, a belt buckle doesn't do me much good. At least in gym clothes, I can wear a cowboy hat, and at least it kind of passes. I will say on a material side, though, like the belt buckle, the design of it is cooler. So I guess it's I guess it's what you're looking for. Like, I liked the belt buckle in terms of like it had the USA logo on it. It was like it said USA weightlifting and just advertised it, and I liked that. Where the hat was kind of just it was a standard white cowboy hat that honestly, like I probably could have gone to like Walmart and bought it, which might have been what actually happened for those cowboy hats.
Well, yeah, we got the origin story from JP a long time ago in an episode, I think from back like January, and it literally was something like that. Like the venue had like cowboy hats left over, so they weren't like. It wasn't like a planned, like, this is going to be a neat USAW thing where they probably would have snuck some branding on there. But, okay, so you have worn the cowboy hat to coach in because it's practical, but you have not yet worn the belt buckle because it's impractical. You can't affix it to mesh shorts.
Well, I also didn't go 6 for 6 too, so I don't.
I just assumed you stole one of them from one of your athletes. Is that you're not okay? That's only something I would have done. Okay, my bad. That's on me. Before we get into your lifters, I want to introduce folks to a little bit about you and about the club.
Sure.
How long you guys been around, and kind of what was the origin story of your club?
Yep. So we started, I want to say, I'm losing track of years now, 2023, I want to say. So about 2022, I would say. About 2 to 3 years is, where we've been when we started. Basically, the club itself started as kind of a remote club. Some background origin on me. I'm a personal trainer full time, so that's basically my thing. I've been doing that since 2015 on a full time basis. I was doing it a little bit prior on a part time in combination with a full time, basically a corporate America style job. I was young enough to where I decided to take a leap and say, you know what? I mean, I'll try being a trainer full time, doing. Being in the fitness industry, if I fail, worst case, I just jump back in the workforce like nothing ever happened. Best case, it actually works out. And, I took that leap and it's worked ever since. So going kind of to my business and my club. So in 2020, as I'm sure everybody was aware, everything shut down because of COVID. Gyms closed.
We did notice that. Yes.
Hopefully you did. So I was actually a part-time trainer at 2 gyms at the time. So I had clients in Arlington, clients in Chantilly. And basically what had happened was those gyms closed down and they're kind of like, hey, sorry guys, we can't exactly pay you. So best of luck pretty much. Obviously me being in that fitness industry full time, I, had bills to pay. So I needed to find work somehow. So I actually started my own training company, Built by Becker LLC, which was originally an in-home style training company. I would still lift in garage spaces and basically outdoors when I could. When gyms opened back up, I started lifting in spaces, but still, I actually right now lift out of my friend Karen and Dennis O'Donnell's garage, and I still use that as like a main training space now. But at the time during COVID, it was kind of my, place where I could do. At the time, I was still a little bit more of a CrossFitter, but I was kind of a CrossFit weightlifting hybrid type of athlete at the time. So basically what happened is my company became that full-time thing I was running. It was a mixture of going in home to people's places, bringing them into the garage for one-on-one style training. And so I ran that until about 2022, 2023, when essentially I found Herndon as kind of a more so like, hey, like I want to get out of the garage a little bit back into the gym because as I'm sure you guys were aware during COVID, there's a little bit of a difference between lifting in a garage and lifting, in a gym with a community. Sure. So, with all the success I was having with all of that, it was a little bit of a like, hey, I miss that community vibe. At the time, I had kind of shifted to more of a, like less CrossFit, more weightlifting. So I was kind of like, well, I enjoy the sport. I like doing it. Maybe I can make this work in terms of growing a club of my own versus kind of just being like a rogue lifter on my, like with no affiliation. So I did a little research and I was like, okay, well, there's not really many clubs out that way. So I was like, might not be a bad place to start, a club there in case there's other people like me who just wanted to, branch into weightlifting. Sorry. One piece that I liked about Herndon was just kind of the setup of it. I like the CrossFit to weightlifting connection. I do feel like one of the reasons why weightlifting got super big was because of CrossFit. And as much as there are differences between the two, I do think CrossFit was a big stepping stone for weightlifting. And so basically, what I wanted to do was create a program that complemented CrossFit, but also allowed people who, liked weightlifting and wanted to get into the sport an opportunity to have a platform of, developing developing their weightlifting, whether it was as a CrossFit athlete, as a weightlifting athlete, or even just into any other sport, any other field sport, or basically an avenue for them. So I was introduced to Herndon and we started the relationship there and it's flourished from there.
From the barbell side, specifically for, like, I guess maybe I should ask this first. For the lifters that you have in your club, in the weightlifting club, mm-hmm. like what's the breakdown in terms of people who are just doing weightlifting and people who are, like you said, kind of doing that cross training between CrossFit and weightlifting?
So when we started, it was a lot more CrossFitters just wanting to get better at weightlifting. I would say probably about 90-10. As we started growing as a club, a lot of those CrossFitters were kind of like, hey, I actually like weightlifting. I don't like doing CrossFit. So a lot of them switched over, hence me as well. So it actually shifted into more of like a probably 90-10 the other direction. So basically it was a full shift. We get some people who do both, but most after, a few months are kind of like, nah, I don't like my heart rate getting up that high and sustaining that high heart rate for, 10, 20, 30 minutes. It's just not, no, we're good.
I mean, it's not super uncommon for somebody to transition from just doing CrossFit to doing like CrossFit and weightlifting and then ultimately coming over to weightlifting. That's mm-hmm. not an uncommon story, but you, I think, maybe have a unique experience because you started a club that, like you said, was 90-10 in one direction, CrossFit mm-hmm. 90, weightlifting 10, mm-hmm. to now the people in your club are 90% of them are just doing weightlifting and 10% are doing the cross training. How long did you notice that transition to take? And, were there any like noticeable, like, I don't know, periods or events, like things that were like, did everybody seem to at once come to the same conclusion, or was it kind of everybody trickled at their own speed?
I would say a little bit of everybody at their own speed. I think most of them, what they liked about barbell or weightlifting and barbell club as opposed to CrossFit was the, I guess we'll say, less structure. And I guess what I mean by that is, I'm sure, have either of you guys done CrossFit before? Or did you ever, you guys transitioners?
Abby was an avid CrossFitter years ago.
So then Abby's familiar where CrossFit's very like, hey, like you come in.
Steve's lying to you. Steve's lying to you. I ran track, and like I'm semi-familiar with CrossFit, but I was never at a CrossFit.
I am one of the people who started out as a CrossFitter and then transitioned to weightlifting. So I understand. Please continue.
Yeah, no, it's good. So it was very structured. Like, hey, you come in, you do a warm up as a team, and again, not knocking it at all. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just we'll point out the differences. So it was very, like you come in, you do a coach led warm up, you do, depending on the gym you're at, you did some strength work, and then you did, your 15-minute Metcon or whatever it was. Then you had your cool down, and then you went home for the day. Whereas like weightlifting's a little bit different. Our club does have structured hours, but it's more so like, hey, like we come in. We'll do kind of a general warm up. Some of our athletes have, different warm up needs. So we might modify those a little bit for, each particular athlete. But once they kind of get into, their workout, their lifts of the day, it's almost like a do it as your own pace. Like not everybody has to transition from like the strength to the Metcon. It's more so like, hey, like if you need an extra 20 minutes on your snatch or whatever, time frame you need, that's kind of there for you. So I think people like the fact that it's more, I almost want to say slower, but I don't say it in a bad way, but where it's like, hey, like in CrossFit, if it's like a snatch piece or whatever, usually it's like, hey, you have 15 minutes to build to like a heavy set 2. And it's more so like, hey, like you got to get the weight on the bar, move the bar, rest like a minute, get on the bar, like, or you're just going to run out of time. Where with barbell, it's very like, hey, like if there's finite points that we need to break down, we can like stop and sit there and say like, hey, we need to correct this, this, and this, and really take our time with it. Where I think a lot of them, when going into that CrossFit situation, they're just kind of like, hey, like, I don't really have time to do that because, there's 15 minutes sitting on that clock and now there's, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and I've got to like get these reps in before we move on to the Metcon. So I think, again, even those CrossFitters who are still doing both, like using it as a complementary piece because they're like, hey, like, I don't learn as much or I can't learn and apply as easily in CrossFit that I can in barbell. And so for those that still enjoy it, they can go to barbell, learn stuff, and then apply it in CrossFit. And it makes a little bit more sense. And so, like I said, that's kind of one of the reasons why I also like having that connection with a CrossFit gym, because there are a lot of people who, like I said, who may not know they like weightlifting, but they want to use it to help their CrossFit. And it's an easier transition into the sport when they're like, oh, wow, like actually, I used to hate snatching because like, I'm just so bad at it. We're like, now that I've been working on it, I'm better at it and I'm more comfortable with it. And it's actually a fun movement. And some of those other like CrossFit type movements are now like I actually don't like those anymore. Yeah, they used to be easier. Now they're harder for other reasons.
We several months ago, we had Kevin Pay from CrossFit Route 7. He runs the barbell club out of that gym. And we had him on and I asked him, from a coach standpoint, from a programmer standpoint, the challenges and the differences he noticed between, programming for just a CrossFit audience to programming for, someone who's trying to do both, and then to get into just programming for weightlifters. And I'm curious, what your experience has been with that. Excuse me. What are some of the differences you've noticed programming for those those 3 buckets essentially? And, what are some of the challenges you face trying to, kind of grow into being able to just program for weightlifters and not have that CrossFit component at all?
Sure. So I personally like programming for weightlifting better. I mean, after doing both, I've done programming for a couple gyms as well, CrossFit wise. The reason why I find CrossFit programming harder is because you have so many, domains included. And again, if you're programming for a gym, you probably have 50, 75, whatever, however many members you have who all have different strengths and weaknesses and this is just my kind of personal opinion on it. If you're programming for a gym, it's hard to really like focus on, a couple people's weaknesses. I mean, you could basically take a sample size and say, hey, like what is the majority of the gym weak at and program to help those improvements. But at the same time, there's still going to be a percentage of people who you're not hitting their weaknesses because it's, you have to program for such a large scale. I found that with barbell, it's a little bit easier to, find someone's weakness and it's easier to individualize things. We do have a general class program, but what I've noticed is that like, hey, like even off the general program, I can give specific athletes, hey, like, hey, we're going to focus a little more on this because we need more work here, whether it's, squat strength, whether it's pulling strength, whatever it might be. So I find that that's a little bit easier. Whereas CrossFit, it's harder to do that for people just simply because of all of the domains that you have within CrossFit.
And this is, I do this every time, no matter how many times I catch myself. So I'll apologize to you and to Abby and to the audience. I should have started with our favorite litmus test. How do you feel about cleaning with straps?
Honestly, I don't clean with straps at all or snatch.
I knew it. I knew he was one of us, Abby.
I pull with them. Just
that's fine. Abby, what is the tally? I believe we are. We're not undefeated.
You want me to keep track of that?
Abby, you're the person who keeps track of everything.
What? No, the hell I'm not.
You're not the admin? All right. Anyway, thank you. You're now welcome back on the show anytime.
Thank you.
Let's talk about how some of your folks did at AO2. You had several people earn medals in the Masters division. Is that right?
Yes.
I believe Allison Weidman went 4 for 6, swept silver.
Yeah.
And then Laura Boyer, right?
Lara.
I'm sorry. Lara
No,
Boyer
you're good.
also had a bronze sweep for her Masters division. And Mike Alkus, I believe, got gold. Is that correct?
He did, yeah.
You want to talk about their performances from the Masters division?
Yeah. So we'll start with Allison. Allison has actually been competing for a little while now. So she has some experience with it. I will say that with her, and again, no offense to her, I still think there's a level of, hey, like, you need to relax a little bit. She does get very, tense. And I think it's just, she's like, hey, like, I want to do well. I want to perform well. So I get it. But she's definitely very like, hey, like, I got to do well. Like, very, very amped up. So sometimes you just have to kind of ground her and say, hey, relax. I know for her, the more she's done it, she's enjoyed the experience. So this is actually her first time on a national stage winning a medal. So I know she was really, really happy about that.
Sure.
And especially hitting a snatch or a comp snatch PR. I believe it was 52 kilos, if I'm not mistaken. She was really happy about that. We just missed 70. I know she's been trying to hit 70 in a comp for a while. And, we're just about there. So I know that's something that she's like, we're so close. But the snatch was a bodyweight snatch for her. So for her, she's like, amped up about that. So she's really grown a lot. I'm happy she went 4 for 6 because, like I said, for her, total lifts made matters for her. Me personally, I'm okay with a 2 for 6 performance. As long as you get one snatch, one clean and jerk, I'm like, it's a score. So she did really well. She was happy overall. So we'll take that as a win for her. Second was Lara. It was actually her first comp ever. So not even it was her first competition on a stage. She qualified online qualifier. That's how she got there. Which again depends on if you count. It depends on if you count that or not. I mean,
one of us does, and the other one's Abby. But I think it's great, and I'm also thrilled that she qualified in an online qualifier and then went and was able to perform well on that national stage. I think that is awesome. Good for her.
Steve's head right now is gigantic.
Well, it's funny because, she'd never done it before. She's like, hey, how does this all work? And I'm like, hey, like, relax. Like, I'll manage. You just lift the bar. And she's like, well, I kind of want to be in control. And I'm like, well, we'll have to work this out and it's not going to be right here because you're going to compete here in like 10 minutes. So just trust me here. So, we went out on stage for her first lift and we picked a weight that, like she was pretty comfortable with, she misses it out in front. She's like, oh, that's weird. Like, never done that before. I'm like, well, do you feel like it's nerves? How do you feel? She's just like, well, I don't know. It just felt a little different. I was like, okay, well, let's not screw with weights. Let's just go out there, take another attempt at it. We'll get it. She goes out there again. She misses again. And we're like, okay, this is, all right, we're 0 for 2. First comp at a national level. All right, let's see. We got 2 misses. It's like, hey, Lara, you got this. Just relax. Just trust yourself. The weight. We can do the weight. Pretend you're in the gym. It's another training day. She goes out there and makes the lift. And it was just like, she's like, all right, thank God I didn't bomb out. And I'm like, thank God you didn't bomb out because I'm sitting there like watching her lift the bar. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And we're going to lose one. I said, one's not going to want to do this ever again. So, so she made the lift. And it was funny because we got back to the back room and we were actually sharing a platform with Olivia Reeves' coach. And, at first we didn't really know that, but he had, I guess there was another lifter in Lara's division, the girl who got second place, is on Olivia's team. And so, we're walking back and he's like, huh, you decided to take the hard way to get your snatch, didn't you? And we were just like, oh, well, thanks, man. But I guess Lara recognized who he was. It took me a minute, but then she pointed him out. I was kind of like, okay, yeah, that's him. And I was like, well, you got a compliment from him, so that's good, right? If you want to call it a compliment. And then luckily she made the first clean and jerk, so that was a little bit better, a little bit less stressful. So we're not worrying about again another, miss 2 lifts and then have to make this third one. I know that was a question too on the DMV page a couple days ago. So
I imagine from a coach's standpoint, which would you prefer to bomb out? And the answer is C, neither. But Abby didn't give you guys that.
That wasn't an option.
I know, and I was super thrilled that wasn't an option.
I mean, I've personally bombed twice and both were on snatch. And I mean, I agreed with some of the answers where it was like, I mean, it does take some pressure off clean and jerk because you can kind of just throw as much weight as you want to on there and just, you already bombed. So you're kind of like, like if I go for 6, it is what it is, but at least I could PR clean and jerk and feel okay about it and be like, it's salvage something from this meet. So, I mean, for my answer, I would say I'd almost rather bomb a snatch, but I mean, that's just from personal experience. But yeah, so the clean and jerk was a little less stressful. Obviously she was 1 for 3 on that. So she was a little disappointed in only going 2 for 6, even though she did total and medal. But it does give us some takeaways for, next cycle. I know she's looking to compete in Daytona Beach. So we got some time to fix a few things with her. But overall, I personally think she should be happy with it. I mean, if you get a medal, she posted a great total for her body weight in age class. So, I mean, and that's ultimately what matters in my opinion there.
I want to stay on Lara for just a second. And Abby, I swear this wasn't a setup. I had no idea that this was the way this played out. But I am curious because it was something we were talking about before you hopped on, which is kind of, I guess, the experience that people have. I got a couple of questions. One, what went into the decision to have Lara qualify in an online qualifier as opposed to pick your local meet? And then 2, what did she observe as, some of the differences between, you qualify under this setting and then you got to compete, at the thing you qualified for under an entirely different setting. How did she notice that go?
Well, so Lara, a little bit of background on her. She actually joined our club not too long ago, a couple months ago. Okay. So that factored in a little bit. She was a CrossFitter. She's also a trainer like me. She works, does personal training, works out of a garage space. So she came to me basically looking to make a switch from CrossFit to weightlifting, but she kind of didn't know like where to start or how to do it. So like I said, she reached out to me one day. So I just asked her, hey, like, what are you looking to do? Like, are you looking to compete? Or are you just looking to, I know you're coming from a CrossFit side. So are you trying to like get better at the weightlist for CrossFit or just give me some insight? And like I said, she was making that full blown shift over. And I said, okay. And I was like, so do you want to compete or do you just want to like lift just because you like, doing weightlifting and you just like the benefits of weightlifting? And it's like, no, like I want to compete. I've looked at numbers before and it looks like, I had pretty good numbers for my age and weight class. And I said, well, what are your numbers? She rattled them off to me and I was like, okay, like, yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like, you hit the qualifiers for, AO and finals. And I was like, so that's pretty good. So I was like, okay, so then if you want to compete, like how quickly do you want to compete? And she's like, well, ASAP. And I'm like, okay, like let me see what I can do. So obviously there was nothing really local around here until I want to say WSOs are the closest thing. And she's like, oh, I kind of want to do AO like too, is there any chance I can get there? Are there any local meets? And so we looked at the calendar and we're like, okay, the closest one looks to be like southern part of North Carolina somewhere, like a 5-6 hour drive. And I'm kind of like, I mean, that's a time commitment there. So nothing against it, but I was like, I mean, the other option we have is to do an online qualifier because I want to say this was the middle of July or whenever the cutoff was for signups for AO2. Yeah. And I was like, the other option we do is we roll, an online qualifier just so you can get qualified. Now, obviously, your first meet's gonna be in a national setting, which is a little bit different from a local setting. But as long as you're on board with that, I'll be there to help you along the way. Like, I'm more than happy to go that route with you. And so we were both in agreement. We did the online, and we just kind of said, hey, like, this is what we're gonna do. I think the biggest thing for her, like I said, was trying to learn, the differences between, weightlifting as a sport and kind of weightlifting. Because, CrossFit does, coming from that CrossFit background, they don't really teach you much about weightlifting as a sport. They kind of just teach you like how to do the snatch and the clean and jerk, but they don't go into a lot of the details. So for her, it was a like, hey, like, these are what meets are, like, these are kind of the general rules of weightlifting. You don't necessarily have to know a lot of this particular stuff. That's more so for me to know, but just good for you to have the knowledge. So you're not looking at me like, hey, what the heck is he doing here? Just more so for understanding. But I would say she's definitely catching on and getting into kind of that transition. I do think when she got there and she got into like, hey, we're in the back room, your heat starts in 15 minutes. She was a little bit like, okay, this is a new environment for me. And like I said, performance wise, I personally she did pretty well. I think she'll get better with time. Sure. But I will say her kind of getting into that exposure, I'll say that she enjoyed the process. Like, she's telling me like, hey, I'm looking forward to Daytona. Like, I'm looking forward to this next local. So our thing with her now is just trying to get her into as many meets as possible, just so she gets some of that experience and exposure to the sport. And hopefully I answered your question there.
You did. And also, if she wants to compete at WSOs, have her get on the wait list. I'm fairly confident.
I know. We're now trying to push. I got one more on there. So now I'm trying to shove more in there.
We got a couple minutes left. I wanted to touch on some of your other folks that were lifting down in Fort Worth. Daphne Gerald went 6 for 6 and earned your club's second belt buckle. How did that go for her? I mean, obviously it went very well, but like any takeaways for her?
Yeah, no, she did really well. She was a funny situation because our training cycle wasn't as ideal as she wanted. She had a lot of personal stuff going on, and so it was one of those where like she likes competing, so she wanted to do it. We set the expectation fairly low just because we were walking into it like, hey, like, this has gone on. Things haven't felt great. That's okay. Let's just compete and have a good time. And Daphne's an athlete who's very, she's very well-headed, meaning she can go into a competition and she doesn't freak out. It's another day doing an activity for her pretty much. So unlike Allison or Lara or them right now, she's very, it's easy to have those plans and execute those. What we were surprised about actually is how good things actually felt for her. So she got in there and she was lifting and she's like, oh, that's weird. Like, this weight felt like 110% like a week ago, and now it feels like 85%. She's like, that's so weird. I mean, luckily it was in the right direction on that, but
better than the alternative, right?
Well, that's what I was saying. So
yeah.
We were like, okay, let's just throw weight on there and see what we can do. So we started a little low for her. So that I think helped the 6 for 6 a little bit, but at the same time, it was definitely a confidence boost for her to like get that 6 for 6 because I don't think she's ever done it before. So she's like, hey, like it's a new achievement, even though I didn't PR on anything, it's an achievement there. And she actually hit a lot closer to her PR numbers than she thought she was going to. So again, a strong takeaway there too.
Great. And you had Chloe DiPiano, who snatched 56, Karen O'Donnell totaled 127, and we mentioned Mike Alcas, 6 for 6 and some gold medals. Any takeaways from any of those three?
Yeah, so we'll start with Chloe first. Chloe was actually her first national meet, so she had been trying to get to nationals, or we'll say AO series, back when it was AO series and now Virus series for.
Yeah, it's still AO series on this podcast.
Okay,
still AO series on this podcast.
Don't want to offend anybody by calling it AO series. So she actually, it was her first national meet, so she was really excited about that. We've spent the past year and change just trying to get her qualifying numbers to make it there. So she qualified at Tough Temple this past year, so she was very excited. And for her, it was the experience of getting to go there and compete. She really, like I said, really had a good time. Her snatches went really well. We tried to PR on the last one, and she just missed it. We know it's there. I want to say she sat back in her heels a little too much, and that's okay. clean and jerk. Obviously, if you saw the results, it wasn't exactly what we were looking for here. But not in a bad way. She was obviously upset about it. And, like I told her after the fact, unfortunately, bombing's part of the sport. And again, unpopular opinion, I almost want my athletes to bomb at least once, simply because you can kind of like experience experience the low of the sport. I find that when you experience the low of the sport, it helps you, really appreciate the sport itself. It's easy to love a sport when you're so good at it and you never bomb. I mean, it's easy to, like, if you're always good, it's always easy to love a sport. But like, I find that you tell whether people really love or hate a sport when they're at the low point or they, mess something up, and you can still go back and be like, hey, like, I'm going to come back and lift tomorrow because tomorrow's another day. And I explained that to her, and I said, hey, like I said, I get it. It's frustrating. I bombed twice, so I know the feeling, and one was at a national level too. So just take it for what it's worth. The sun's going to come up tomorrow. You're going to go into the gym tomorrow, and you're going to, the feelings are going to pass, and you're going to compete again, and you're going to have a great day, or you're going to have a great meet, in a month or two. And you're going to be like, I bombed. Okay. Like, it happens. So, ultimately it was a great experience for her. She was, again, same thing, being like, hey, like, when's the next national meet we can do? I'm excited. I'm pumped. But like I said, she was an open lifter too. So I know the opening qualifiers are a little harder than the masters. So she felt really good about that. So I told her to take that away. And then moving to Karen, Karen's basically my assistant coach. So she has a lot of experience with weightlifting and in the sport. So for her, same thing. She was like a Daphne situation. She had a lot going on leading up to the comp. So her training cycle also wasn't as great as it could have been. And she surprised herself with how well she lifted. And it's one of those confidence boosters where like, I feel so weak. And then you get there and you're like, holy shit, like, where did all this strength come from? And you're kind of like, it was there the whole time. You just, we're probably just going through a phase. So, all in all, I think everybody had a really good time. Like I said, I'm proud of the people who medaled. I'm proud of the people who got belt buckles. And I'm also proud of the people who, went there and, had really great showings, which I would say that's a 6 for 6.
Absolutely. A final question before we let you go. We ask all our guests, do you have any questions for Abby or I?
Let me see. Well, I'll give one to each of you. Well, I guess this is kind of a general question for both of you guys. What made you guys want to start this podcast?
Abby, we were just telling this story at your birthday party last night. Go ahead.
We were just telling the origin story. We were literally sitting in a committee meeting, and Steve texted me on the side, hey, what if we just started a podcast? And I was like, yeah. And then he got off mute on the committee meeting and said, hey, what if Abby and I start a podcast? And we followed through with it. My only stipulation was that we had to wait till after I competed at nationals, and then we went all in.
There you go.
And here we are.
There we are.
And if I have time, one other question.
Sure.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess what got you both into weightlifting?
Abby?
Going from track to weightlifting.
I ran I ran track in college, and I ended up liking strength and conditioning way more than I liked running. I was pretty burnt out, and I had a coach who was like, hey, you power clean like a baller. Maybe you should try weightlifting. And I just fell in love with the sport immediately, and never looked back.
Was that around college, or was that after college or high school?
Yeah. I mean, I finished, I'm painfully stubborn. So like I finished all 4 years of track. And then after my last conference championship, I put my spikes in their box, and I pulled the weightlifting shoes out of their respective box, and I started a program that Monday. So that was it.
Do you still run track now, or are you like, no, not a
Hell
chance?
no, I don't run. Steve runs. I don't run. I found, so when I got surgery, I told somebody this. I found that, like, yeah, I like weightlifting and all, but like I found that I really hate fitness, and I really just like weightlifting. Because having to do like CrossFit-y type workouts and just general fitness while I couldn't do the traditional lifts was terrible. And now I have generational beef with the assault bike.
There we go.
Yeah.
I have a more classic story. I back in like, yikes. this is when we realized once more how old I am. Back in like 2012-ish, I started off doing CrossFit at CrossFit South Arlington, which is for anybody, it's down near like the Crystal City area of Arlington. And Kara Head Slaughter had at that time it was just a corner of that gym, and she would do her like 6-week technique classes. And I think if I remember right, I was in either the inaugural 6-week technique class or like the second one ever. And I did that with a guy named Dave LaCroix. He was a good buddy of mine. And we both came to the realization that, and we were both of us were then and remain below average height adults. And suboptimal to keep pounding our head against a figurative wall in CrossFit, where we had to be in the same arena with people who are in some cases quite literally twice our size. Whereas we could go to weightlifting and have a much more enjoyable time just lifting against people like he and me, he and us. I don't know. Anyway, so I did the thing for a while where I would do like CrossFit and weightlifting. And then I think in like 2013, I finally like just made the full on switch. And then I've been doing just weightlifting ever since. And as Abby pointed out, occasionally I will run. Yeah.
Now, when you run, is it like a sprint or is it like?
Oh, you're so
miles,
kind. You're such a
miles?
kind man. I haven't sprinted since like, I don't know, 2007. So I do what's generously described as a trot, maybe like a God, I gotta come up with a better verb for what it is I do. Have you ever seen like
one time, Steve, you used the verb skedaddle, and I really liked that one. So
I feel like even skedaddle is a more generous term than I deserve. Plod.
Well, on that note,
gallop. How about gallop? Gallop seems like something I could do.
Gallop is faster than trot, so no.
All right, trot.
Absolutely.
We're gonna stick with trot.
All right,
Ethan.
Thank
you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Ethan Becker Menditto, who runs Built by Becker Weightlifting Club out of Herndon CrossFit. We look forward to seeing more of your folks at national meets and hopefully also local meets. Abby, I'll see you at WSOs.
You will.
Yeah.
I'll see both of you at WSOs.
I'm just trying to think if you'll see. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if you'll see me before then, but probably not. We'll see.
I'm going to see you on that committee meeting, which I just reminded you existed on Tuesday.
Shit, that's right. Thank you. Thank you for this.
All right, everybody. We will see you in our next episode after WSOs. Everybody have a great time, and we'll see you later.
Thank you, guys.